cakes, cookies and biscuits all belong to the same family. So this time we're looking at how astonishingly easy it is to make biscuits at home. We're going to begin with shortbreads, and I want to show you my own favourite recipe. These are made with semolina, which gives an extra short and crunchy texture. Just measure 175 grams of plain flour into a bowl along with 75 grams of golden caster sugar. Then here is 75 grams of fine semolina. And this is followed by 175 grams of block butter at room temperature cut up into cubes. Now lightly rub the butter into the rest as we've seen before, and be as quick as possible so the butter doesn't get too soft. As it all starts to come together, lightly press it into a dough. Make sure you get every last bit by pressing the dough onto anything left in the bowl so you leave it completely clean. This will need a 20 centimetre round sponge tin with a base liner. Just place the shortbread dough into the tin and press it out evenly with your hands to spread it out. Don't worry about the bumps because now we're going to use the back of a tablespoon to smooth it. Next, you need to prick the shortbread all over using a fork. Then use the prongs of the fork to press quite firmly all round the edges to make the traditional pattern. Bake for 1 to 1 1/4 hours near the centre of a preheated oven until it's pale gold. Allow the shortbread to cool in the tin for 10 minutes before cutting it into wedges. To do this, first cut it into quarters, then cut each quarter into 3 to give you 12 evenly sized shortbreads. Once sliced, the shortbread is turned out of the tin by placing it on a jar and easing the edge down. Transfer it to a cooling rack and sprinkle with a dusting of caster sugar. It's now ready for you to bite into or store in an airtight tin. Or if you need a special homemade gift for someone, place it in a cellophane bag and tie it with a ribbon. The next recipe is another class act. These are crystallised ginger oat biscuits, crisp on the outside and chewy inside. Here's a star ingredient, crystallised ginger, which for baking comes in handy storage jars. We're going to finely chop 40 grams of this. Hold your fingers tucked inwards, then cut in thin slices, sliding the knife downwards. Then slice them across, sliding the knife away from you as you chop to get small strips. Then across the other way to get small pieces. To begin with, this is a melted mixture of 110 grams of block butter, 75 grams of demerara sugar, and a dessert spoon of golden syrup. These are gently heated together until the butter has melted and the sugar dissolved. Meanwhile, sift 110 grams of self-raising flour into a bowl and the same quantity of porridge oats, followed by the chopped crystallised ginger. Finally, add a rounded teaspoon of ground ginger and a pinch of salt. Give all this a quick mix. Then add the melted mixture and stir till everything is blended. Now pat the mixture down into the bowl and divide it into 4 with a knife. Then take roughly 1/3 of each quarter and using your hands, roll it into little rounds. Place these on a lined baking sheet, spacing them out so they've got room to spread. Then flatten them into a biscuit shape. Don't worry about uneven shapes here, it looks more rustic and shows they don't come from a factory. The biscuits are baked for 20 to 22 minutes near the centre of a preheated oven, until they've turned a lovely golden brown. Let them cool on the baking sheet for 15 minutes and then finally on a cooling tray. They do store well in an airtight tin if you actually have any left. While we're on the subject of oats, I just have to show you these whole oat crunches because they're quite the easiest biscuits I've ever made. Here in the bowl are 50 grams of whole jumbo oats, 60 of porridge oats, and 75 grams of demerara sugar. In goes 110 grams of melted butter, then some speedy mixing. When it's all blended, tip the whole lot into a lined oblong cake tin and press it out evenly with a tablespoon. And that, believe it or not, is it. They take 15 to 18 minutes to cook in the centre of a preheated oven, then cut them into 12 slices straight from the oven and leave to cool. Finally, I want to show you a twice-baked biscuit. These are Italian and called Almond Biscotti. We're first going to sieve 110 grams of plain flour into a bowl, adding 3/4 of a level teaspoon of baking powder and a pinch of salt. After that, 25 grams of ground almonds, 50 of whole almonds, and 75 grams of caster sugar. Combine all these together before adding a beaten egg and a few drops of almond extract. Now we're going to mix it until it begins to form a dough. Then bring it together with your hands so that the mixture leaves the bowl clean. What happens now is the dough is going to be rolled on a floured surface using your hands until it forms a log shape, about 28 centimetres long. Just place it on a lined baking sheet and bake near the centre of a preheated oven at 170 degrees, gas mark 3, for 30 minutes. Cool the biscotti on a wire cooling rack, and when it's completely cold, place it on a chopping board. Then, using a serrated knife, cut it into diagonal slices about 1 centimetre thick, like this. You'll see the whole almonds start to reappear. Now the slices go back onto the lined baking sheet and then back into the oven at a lower temperature for around 30 minutes until pale gold and very crisp and crunchy. In Italy, they serve the biscotti at the end of a meal dipped into a wine called Fin Santo. But any sweet wine would do, and I hope you'll try it. Got any questions? Then join in one of our online web chats.